Give credit where credit is due. Sumit is one of the most improved tennis players. However, he's not in the top 100. Nonetheless, I believe there are few training techniques he has that we can use. So, why does Sumit Nagal put so much emphasis on agility drills? The most fascinating thing is the timing and rhythm that agility drills bring to his footwork. The art of precise movement timing is what position players perfectly to unleash the shots with the optimal blend of power and accuracy. Think about it. A perfectly timed step can mean the difference between a breathtaking winner and a frustrating miss. Now, let's zoom in one of the most crucial aspects of court movement, the split step. This seemingly simple jump just before the opponent strikes the ball is the secret weapon for being balanced and ready to pounce in any direction. Sumit Nagal's split step training is like a masterclass in being super responsive to his opponent's moves. It's like he is sync with the game, always step ahead, always prepared to counter whatever comes his way. But there's a more in it than meets the eye. These agility drills are more than just physical workouts. They are about forging powerful connection between the mind and body. You see, players like Sumit does not just hit the ball and move around randomly. Now, no, he is actually reading the game, anticipating his opponent's shots, and relying on his intuitions to move instinctively. It's like a mesmerizing ballet of observation and reaction, guided by the subtle visual cues from his rival on the side of the net. Now let's get Sunday because there's a unique twist to Sumit Nagal's training routine. Sand movement drills. Well, it turns out that moving in sand is not just about a day at the beach. It's an intense workout that significantly amps up his agility and quickness. Think about it like this: with every step he takes in the sand, there's a resistance. The resistance translates into enhanced strength and speed once he backs on the regular court. Now picture this: Nagal training on a sand surface is pushing against the natural resistance. These muscles are working in overdrive to navigate through sand grip. This extra effort dividends when it comes to regular court. Accelerating, decelerating, and changing direction becomes second nature to him. It's like he got grips in his shoes. But wait, there are more to it. The resistance provided by sand is like personal trainer to his muscles. It's an activation for them to get stronger and more and enduring. And now let's break down Sumit's strength training. So, in the midst of dynamic rigor of tennis, his reliance on cable rolls underscore a multidimensional objective. Beyond the surface level of sculpting his back and biceps, this exercise uniquely stimulates his grip strength. Tennis demands unwavering control of the racket, necessitating a tenacious grip. The recurrent resistance of cable rolls becomes a training ground to fortify his grip resilience. Simultaneously, the exercise cultivates the shoulder stability, a quintessential trait of accommodating the swift, erratic movements eccentric to his shot. In weaving these attributes together, cable rolls emerge as a hidden cornerstone of Nagal's strategic fitness endeavors. And there is an inclusion of deadlifts within his regimen and reveals a dimension of his training that transcends the confines of tennis. They exert a profound impact on functional movement and a full body strength. So, beyond the sport specific motions, Deadlift instills within Nagal a repertoire of movement patterns intrinsic to his own court dynamism. The kinetic energy summoned during deadlift mirrors the explosive leg drive. I can say the integral to the tennis game, rendering these exercises are unlikely yet potent ally. Moreover, the engagement of multiple muscles group underscore the holistic strength development that safeguard him from injuries, fortifying his physique as an instrument of resilience. So you can also see kettlebell swings. They are a dynamic interplay of the hip hinges and acceleration, form an emblematic bridge between the gym and the tennis court. I can say the swing pendulum mirrors the motion of a powerful serve. The swing of these kettlebells. 400, ingraining within Nagal's quintessential explosive kinetics. Blastering this repertoire, kettlebell presses galvanize his shoulder strength, conferring the heightened capability to execute overhead shots with precision. In the effusion of this exercise, the synthesis of raw power converges into a harmonious symphony that resonates in the tennis performance. I can say, or we can see he does not miss pull-ups. They bolster the muscles essential for executing these rapid actions. A symmetrical development on the back and shoulder translates into heightened control over his shot and a mitigation of risk overuse of injuries. So, in the absence of pull-ups, metamorphose into a foundation of upper body dominance that amplifies his tennis expertise. Anyways, adding the stationary bike session, as we know, tennis characterized by intermittent bursts of energy necessitates sustained lung capacity to navigate protracted matches or long matches. The stationary bike emerges as a conduit through which Nagal can fine-tune his cardiovascular system, harmonizing heart and lung for sustained high-energy performance. Beyond this simplicity, this exercise forms strategic reservoir of stamina that equips him to endure protracted or endurance demands of his sport. The single arm plate rows rectifies his instilling a renewed sense of balance and control, unearthing and addressing a latent of discrepancies. This malicious attention to symmetry harmonizes his body, cultivating cohesive strength foundation that empowers him on the court. Anyways, just a word. So it becomes apparent that each exercise is carefully woven thread in a fabric of his athletic evolution. To repeat, these exercises aren't just a means to an end. They are a strategic underpinning the unhalls of tennis mastery. Oh man, one of the standard features of his backhand is how he masterfully positions himself on the court. He has got his incredible court coverage that lets him get his feet within just a half stride on the ball. This isn't just luck. It's about setting up the perfect position to nail that shot. Now, let's explore its mechanics. Before he even makes a contact with the ball, his knees are both nicely flexed, you can see, and he is not just popping back up. He stays low throughout the whole shot. It's a bit different from the classic one-handed backhand we usually see from legends like Federer. You know, that graceful arc that starts low and almost ends on the toes. He's on the other hand keeps that low stance all the way through. The grip he does for is pretty interesting too. When he's using his dominant right hand, he's rocking the standard continental or western grip. But when his left hand, the non-dominant one, comes into play, he switches it up to an eastern grip. It's like he got a toolbox for grips ready for any situation. And lastly, his forehand technique. Back in the day, his forehand had some room for improvement. One of the key aspects was his grip. It was a bit on the extreme side. This meant that his elbow tended to stay tucked in close to his body during his shots. And you know what? This somewhat hampered the fluidity of his forehand preparation. Now let's talk about his spin. You might expect that an eastern grip like his will naturally create more spin, right? Well, not exactly. It's interesting that his grip actually held back his potential for spin. But there is an interesting part. If he had adjusted his grip slightly and moved his right elbow a tad higher and more from his body during the right preparation, he could have unlocked a spin-friendly technique. This little tweak will have helped him generate more spin while still maintaining good control. To view this, imagine his racket reaching up nice and high, even relative to his elbow. This specific setup will have given him an advantage, more leverage on the ball due to the longer and more complete swing. The longer loop in his take back will have been like the secret sauce for an extra power, and who doesn't want that, right?